As we grow older, many begin to worry about memory loss, mental fog, and the gradual decline of clarity. But within the ancient teachings of the Buddha lies a path that offers not just spiritual awakening, but also mental nourishment, especially for those in their golden years. This video, The 6 Buddhist Habits That Keep Your Mind Sharp in Old Age, is a gentle guide for those seeking peace of mind, emotional clarity, and lasting happiness. Buddhism reminds us that the mind, like a garden, must be tended to with mindfulness, compassion, and wisdom. The Buddha taught that our thoughts shape our reality and that peace is not found in external possessions, but within the quiet clarity of a calm, present mind. Aging does not have to mean decline. With the right habits, grounded in timeless Buddhist practices, the mind can remain alert, reflective, and joyfully aware. In this video, we will explore 6 deeply rooted Buddhist habits that support mental sharpness and emotional resilience. These are not fleeting trends, but daily practices inspired by Buddhist wisdom, habits you can embrace right now, no matter your age. We'll discuss how connecting with nature, eating mindfully, listening to calming music, moving the body with awareness, engaging in gentle mental challenges, and cultivating gratitude and faith can renew your inner peace and mental clarity. Whether you're in your 50s or well into your 80s, or simply preparing for peaceful aging, this message is for you. Stay with us as we reflect on real stories and apply the Buddha's teachings to daily life, calmly, respectfully, and with the goal of awakening inner peace. Let us begin our journey into the first habit, the power of grounding and connecting with nature for a healthier mind, a deeply healing practice rooted in traditional Buddhist teachings and one that speaks directly to the needs of a weary mind, especially as we grow older. In Buddhism, the earth is not just a physical ground beneath our feet. It is a sacred witness to our presence, our transformation, and our awakening. When the Buddha sat beneath the Bodhi tree on the night of his enlightenment, he reached out and touched the earth, calling it to witness his journey. This gesture, so simple yet so profound, reminds us that nature is not separate from our spiritual path but an inseparable part of it. It holds our sorrow and our joy, our aging and our becoming, without judgment. In Buddhist monasteries, monks have long found peace by living close to forests, rivers, mountains, and open skies, not to escape the world, but to return to its essence. Nature, in its vast silence, becomes a teacher. It does not speak in words, yet it says everything we need to hear. The whisper of wind through trees, the ripple of water, the rising and falling of clouds, these rhythms of life invite us to slow down, breathe deeply, and listen not only to the world but to our own hearts. Grounding is the practice of physically and mentally reconnecting with the earth, walking barefoot on grass, sitting under a tree, gardening with bare hands, or even lying quietly on the ground and feeling its stillness rise into us. These acts are not merely relaxing, they are deeply spiritual. They pull us away from the noisy complications of modern life and return us to what is real and enduring. In Buddhist thought, this is mindfulness in its purest form, being completely present, completely here. As the Buddha said, live in joy, in peace, even among the troubled. And what better companion to joy than the calm companionship of nature? Through nature, we begin to understand impermanence, a core Buddhist principle. We see the leaf fall, the flower wilt, the day turn to dusk, not with despair, but with peace. We learn to release our grip on things, people, and moments, knowing they are all just passing through. And for many, this realization doesn't come from books or lectures, but from sitting quietly outside, watching life unfold. This brings us to the gentle story of Martha, a 71-year-old retired schoolteacher from Oregon, who rediscovered life not through medicine or therapy, but through the simplicity of nature. After her husband of 53 years passed away, the home they had built together felt unbearably quiet. The clatter of his morning tea, the sound of his voice reading in the living room, the creak of the front door as he returned from errands, these little sounds that once filled the air had vanished, leaving silence in their place. Her 2 sons lived far away, and though they called often, their voices through the phone couldn't fill the emptiness of her days. Her once sharp mind, the same one that had guided hundreds of children through lessons in language and nature, now began to falter. She would misplace books, forget why she'd entered a room, or repeat stories without realizing it. Doctors offered pills, but they left her feeling numb. One quiet morning, seeking anything that might help, she stepped into the small park near her home, a place she had visited often with her husband decades earlier. She wandered without purpose and found herself beneath an old cedar tree. She sat down, unsure why, and began to listen. Not with expectation, but with a kind of tired openness. And nature responded, not with words, but with presence. A bird's soft call, the rustle of leaves, the coolness of the earth beneath her. She stayed longer than she intended. Something about the stillness felt safe, familiar. The next day she returned. And the next. Soon, she took off her shoes, letting the damp grass kiss her soles. She leaned against the tree and closed her eyes. Over the next few weeks, something within her began to change. Her thoughts slowed. Her memories, once fogged by grief, returned in gentle waves, sunlight catching her husband's smile, the laughter of children in her classroom, the feel of a breeze during a summer picnic long ago. She began carrying a notebook. In it, she wrote observations, the woodpecker's distant tapping, the scent of pine, the cool wind before rain. "I didn't know I could feel so alive again," she wrote in a community blog. Nature healed what medicine could not. Grounding had become her daily ritual. Her mind grew clearer. Her spirit lifted. The weight of sorrow didn't disappear, but it softened, made bearable by the companionship of trees and sky. In Buddhist language, Martha had touched the Dharma, not through scripture, but through silence. Her story reminds us that healing does not always come from grand gestures. Sometimes, it arrives quietly, with bare feet on earth and eyes open to the beauty of the world. The natural world holds us the way a wise teacher holds a student, with patience, with kindness, without rushing us toward answers. And when we are older, when society begins to overlook us, nature does not. It still sings for us, still waits for us to sit and listen. Grounding then, becomes a sacred practice. Not just a habit, but a return to wholeness. As we continue this journey through Buddhist habits for a sharper, more peaceful mind, let Martha's story walk beside us. She is not a saint, nor a guru, she is simply a woman who listened. And in that listening, she remembered what it means to be truly alive. May her story gently echo in our hearts as we explore the next habits. May it remind us that even in old age, even in solitude, the earth still welcomes us, the trees still know our name, and peace is never far, it waits for us in the quiet rustle of leaves and the steady breath of the earth itself. As we continue exploring Buddhist habits for mental clarity and lasting peace in old age, the second vital practice is mindful eating, a powerful, often underestimated way to heal the body, sharpen the mind, and nurture emotional well-being. In Buddhism, food is not just sustenance. It is a sacred exchange between the earth and our body, a moment where gratitude, presence, and simplicity can transform an ordinary act into a meditative ritual. The Buddha encouraged his disciples to eat slowly, silently, and consciously, not to indulge in taste alone, but to observe the origin, purpose, and effect of every bite. This conscious approach to eating becomes especially meaningful in old age, when digestion slows, energy may dip, and emotional eating patterns often develop from loneliness, grief, or routine. Mindful eating reconnects us to the present and allows the act of nourishing ourselves to become deeply healing. For Martha, now well into her journey of rediscovering life through Buddhist-inspired grounding in nature, the shift to mindful eating began gradually. After weeks of sitting quietly beneath the cedar tree in the local park, she noticed her cravings were changing, not just for food, but for how she experienced it. The quick microwave meals and sugary snacks she once used to fill emotional gaps no longer felt satisfying. One crisp autumn afternoon, after returning from the park, she brewed herself a warm cup of ginger and turmeric tea. She held the cup in her hands and inhaled the aroma before sipping slowly. In that moment, she realized that food could be a form of meditation, a way to calm her thoughts, improve her focus, and give care to her aging body. Inspired by Buddhist teachings, she began eating in silence, chewing slowly, and blessing each meal as a moment of peace. She also introduced foods that supported her mental clarity and overall vitality. Among them were leafy greens, especially spinach and kale, rich in folate and vitamin K, which support brain health and reduce cognitive decline. She made warm soups with lentils and beans, gentle on the stomach yet high in protein and fiber, helping her stay full and energized without heaviness. Blueberries became her favorite snack. These antioxidant-rich fruits have been shown to improve memory and protect the brain from aging. For breakfast, she added a handful of walnuts, known for their omega-3 fatty acids, which support brain function and emotional stability. Occasionally, she treated herself to a piece of dark chocolate, not for indulgence, but because small amounts support mood and circulation. Sweet potatoes replaced processed carbs in her meals, offering slow-releasing energy and rich sources of vitamin A and fiber. And every evening, she sipped a cup of green tea, full of L-theanine and antioxidants, which helped her unwind and stay mentally alert. Each of these foods became not just ingredients but companions on her path toward clarity, longevity, and peace. But what made them most powerful was the way she approached them, mindfully, gratefully, and without distraction. No phones. No television. Just breath and presence. She began calling it her quiet meal and looked forward to it every day. Often, she would reflect on a quote from the Buddha. "Let us rise up and be thankful, for if we didn't learn a lot today, at least we learned a little." And in each bite, she learned something about her body's needs, her mind's patterns, and the joy of living simply. One evening, she invited her neighbor, Claire, a busy mother of 3, to join her for a silent dinner. At first, Claire was unsure. Eating in silence felt awkward. But halfway through the meal, something shifted. Without the pressure of conversation, both women noticed the flavors more, felt their breath slow, and shared a peaceful smile without saying a word. Afterward, Claire confessed, "That was the calmest I've felt in weeks." Martha simply nodded, understanding. The teachings of the Buddha remind us that when we eat with awareness, we not only nourish the body, we quiet the mind. In monasteries, monks often pause before eating to silently acknowledge the origin of their meal, the seeds, the soil, the farmers, the cook, and the karma that brought the meal before them. Martha adopted this too. Before eating, she would pause and whisper, "Thank you," to the earth, to her hands, to the quiet that now filled her home with grace rather than grief. And slowly, she noticed remarkable changes. Her digestion improved, sleep became deeper, and her memory, once cloudy with sorrow, began to clear like morning mist lifting from the fields. She journaled the smells and textures of her meals, not to track calories, but to treasure moments. Her arthritis seemed gentler, her heart lighter. She no longer rushed meals or used them to distract herself, they became grounding rituals that gave shape to her days. Martha's story, still unfolding, reminds us that it's not just what we eat, but how we eat that heals us. Mindful eating isn't a diet or a chore, it's a devotion to the present moment. For elders especially, it is a gift of empowerment, a way to improve mental function, reduce anxiety, support emotional health, and feel truly alive with each nourishing bite. Through her mindful meals, Martha rediscovered a sense of wholeness, a daily practice that harmonized with her grounding in nature and continued to support her growing peace. Her journey is not extraordinary, it is available to anyone who chooses to slow down, give thanks, and eat with presence. The food we place before us, chosen with care and eaten with reverence, becomes medicine for the mind, the heart, and the spirit. In this simple act, we can rediscover our strength, one peaceful meal at a time. As Martha continued her gentle return to life through grounding in nature and mindful eating, another unexpected doorway opened, a path paved not with footsteps or flavors, but with sound. Music, long known in spiritual traditions as a way to calm the mind and open the heart, became the third pillar in Martha's quiet journey of healing. In Buddhism, sound is not merely heard, it is experienced with presence. Chanting, gongs, bells, and rhythmic tones are used not to entertain, but to awaken mindfulness, dissolve mental agitation, and invite the listener into deep stillness. The Buddha himself emphasized the use of calming sounds and recitations to settle the mind during meditation. But beyond spiritual practice, music holds a unique power over memory, especially in old age. Neuroscientists now confirm what ancient wisdom already hinted at: music reaches parts of the brain untouched by words or logic. It can stir long-forgotten memories, revive emotions, and unlock mental clarity even in the presence of cognitive decline. For Martha, this realization began one rainy morning. She was organizing old drawers when she found an antique radio that had belonged to her husband. On a quiet impulse, she turned it on. A soft 1950s melody spilled into the room, one they used to dance to in their youth. The moment the tune reached her ears, Martha froze. Her breath caught. Her mind, usually scattered with to-do lists and quiet loneliness, suddenly flooded with vivid images: her husband's smile as he twirled her in the living room, the sound of their laughter, the scent of his aftershave. It was not just memory, it was presence. He was there with her, if only for a heartbeat, and in that moment, the dull ache of grief gave way to warmth. Tears rolled down her cheeks, but they were not bitter, they were grateful. From that day on, music became part of her daily rhythm. She created a playlist of old favorites, songs that reminded her of her childhood, her teaching days, the vacations they took as a family, even lullabies she once sang to her children. She played them softly during her morning tea, during her walks, or while journaling. And each song, like a gentle breeze through the mind, stirred memories she thought she had lost, some joyful, some bittersweet, all meaningful. One afternoon, while listening to an old folk song from her hometown, Martha remembered the name of a childhood friend she hadn't thought of in decades. She looked her up and was surprised to find that they both now lived in Oregon. With trembling hands and a hopeful heart, she wrote a letter. A month later, they met for coffee, two silver-haired women laughing as if no time had passed. Martha credited that moment to music. It reminded her that memory is not always linear or logical, it's emotional, sensory, and deeply connected to sound. In Buddhist tradition, chanting is often used not just to focus, but to remember core teachings, to ground the mind in timeless truth. Just as a mantra can bring the practitioner back to stillness, so too can music bring an elder back to a part of themselves they thought had faded. Martha began experimenting with soft Buddhist chanting in the evenings, especially Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Sammasambuddhassa. A simple homage to the Buddha that soothed her mind and made her feel connected to something timeless. It didn't matter that she didn't speak Pali, the vibration, the rhythm, the sincerity opened her heart. On days when her thoughts were clouded or her energy low, she played meditative flute music or nature sounds blended with gentle harmonies. She noticed her sleep improved. Her mood lifted. And most surprisingly, her ability to recall names, dates, and details became sharper. The same woman who once forgot where she left her keys now remembered old addresses, favorite recipes, even the lyrics of a song she sang at her wedding. Her doctor noticed the change too: her blood pressure had steadied, her cognitive scores improved, and she appeared more emotionally balanced. Martha smiled and simply said, "I've started listening again." Music didn't just entertain her, it revived her. It gave her a sense of youth without denying her age. It held her grief and also whispered joy. For older adults, music is not a luxury, it is medicine for the soul. It invites gentle movement, emotional release, spiritual connection, and memory recovery. For those with dementia or depression, music therapy has shown profound effects, reducing agitation, increasing engagement, and awakening dormant parts of the brain. But even for those in good health, like Martha, music becomes a quiet companion in the later seasons of life, a bridge between the past and the present. She now shares her playlist with others at her local community center, encouraging them to choose songs from their own youth and listen with intention. Don't just hear it, she says. Feel it. Let it take you somewhere gentle. And in that invitation, Martha reflects the essence of the Buddha's teaching, to live fully in the present, even when that present includes echoes of the past. Music, when embraced mindfully, becomes more than sound, it becomes memory, prayer, therapy, and love, all carried on invisible waves. For Martha, and for many like her, it has become a daily practice. A beautiful reminder that even in silence, the heart remembers how to sing. When we talk about preserving mental clarity and emotional strength as we age, one surprisingly powerful factor rises above the rest: movement. Movement, in both its gentle and active forms, is more than a physical necessity, it is one of the most vital tools for keeping the brain young and vibrant. In Buddhist teachings, the mind and body are not seen as separate. They are reflections of each other. When we move the body mindfully, we awaken the mind. This truth became deeply personal to Martha, now in her 70s, who had already begun healing her grief and loneliness through grounding with nature, nourishing food, and the gentle power of music. But something inside her still felt stiff, like a door partly open. It wasn't pain or sadness anymore, it was the quiet realization that her body had become still for too long. Her days were gentle but sedentary, and though her mind was feeling clearer, it still felt like it needed more oxygen, more light, more flow. That realization took root one morning while she watched a small group of elders walking through the park, their steps slow but steady, their laughter soft but joyful. She remembered how, years ago, she used to walk with her husband after dinner, hand in hand, sharing quiet conversations as the sun set. That memory stirred something inside her, not just nostalgia, but a longing to move again, to reclaim a part of herself she thought was lost. That very evening, she read an article left at the community center titled "Why Movement is the Key to Keeping Your Brain Young." The idea fascinated her, that even short, simple movements could improve memory, reduce anxiety, and sharpen awareness. The next morning, she put on her soft walking shoes and stepped into the sunlight. She didn't go far, just a slow walk around the park, but something shifted. Her breath deepened. Her shoulders dropped. The chatter in her mind softened. Over the next few weeks, she began walking daily, making each step a moment of mindfulness, just as the Buddha had once taught through walking meditation. She noticed how the rhythm of walking steadied her thoughts. Studies confirm what Martha felt intuitively: regular physical activity improves blood circulation, increases oxygen flow to the brain, and stimulates the growth of new neural connections. In other words, movement doesn't just keep us physically mobile, it makes the mind more resilient, responsive, and alive. Encouraged by these shifts, Martha joined a gentle chair yoga class offered at the center. The instructor, a patient and cheerful woman named Lana, emphasized breathing, stretching, and kindness toward one's own body. At first, Martha struggled. Her balance wavered, and her joints protested. But over time, her flexibility improved, her legs grew steadier, and her energy returned. She could reach her cabinets without fear of falling, climb the porch steps with more confidence, and even surprise herself by dancing a little when a favorite song played. But more than the physical benefits, it was what movement did to her thoughts that felt miraculous. Her memory, once foggy, grew clearer. She began to recall details she had forgotten: recipes, names of neighbors, childhood stories. She even started journaling again, filling pages with reflections and poems inspired by her morning walks. In Buddhism, movement practiced with awareness is a sacred act. It connects the body to the present moment, bringing the wandering mind home. For Martha, every walk was now a meditation, each stretch a prayer of gratitude. She found that moving her body created space in her mind, a space where peace could settle. Science supports her experience. Regular, mindful movement increases the production of brain-derived neurotrophic factor, BDNF. A protein that strengthens brain cells, supports learning, and protects against age-related decline. As Martha kept moving, she also kept blooming. Inspired, she invited two elderly friends to join her for daily strolls. They shared stories, practiced deep breathing, and even laughed about their wobbly warrior yoga poses. These walks became not just exercise but joyful companionship, a ritual of connection and clarity. Martha began to feel like a leader in her own healing journey, reminding others through her example that it's never too late to start moving. Her neurologist was amazed by her progress: sharper focus, improved balance, and better mood, all without any drastic changes, just steady, mindful movement. In Buddhism, the path to awakening is not only walked metaphorically, it is walked, quite literally, one mindful step at a time. As the Buddha said, with each mindful step, the miracle is revealed. And for Martha, each movement became a soft, sacred miracle. A way to honor her body, lift her mind, and live fully in each moment. Through her journey, we are reminded that movement is not about speed or intensity, it is about life, awareness, and presence. Whether it's a walk in the park, a gentle stretch, or a quiet dance in the kitchen, movement becomes the golden thread that ties the body and mind together. It is how we stay young, not in years, but in spirit, in joy, and in the graceful strength of being truly alive. As we age, it's natural to wonder how we can maintain mental clarity and cognitive sharpness, especially when faced with the inevitable changes in memory and focus. One of the most transformative insights in neuroscience is the concept of neuroplasticity, the brain's remarkable ability to reorganize itself, form new neural connections, and adapt to new challenges. This concept is not just scientific jargon, it's a living truth, something that Martha discovered on her journey of self-healing. After months of reconnecting with nature, nourishing her body, and embracing the power of movement, Martha began to realize that there was another piece to the puzzle: the importance of mental challenges. At first, she was hesitant. She had always prided herself on her sharp memory, but now, as she approached her 73rd year, she noticed subtle shifts. Dates became harder to recall, and names sometimes slipped from her memory. Though she had embraced the physical aspects of aging with grace, her mind still felt clouded in places. It was then that a friend introduced her to a local group that met once a week to do puzzles, play strategy games, and engage in memory exercises. The thought of engaging in these mental workouts seemed too simple at first, but she gave it a try, inspired by the idea that mental challenge could be just as powerful as physical movement in keeping the brain young. To her surprise, these activities made a world of difference. Martha began with crossword puzzles, then gradually moved on to Sudoku, and even took up learning a new language, Spanish, a language she had always found beautiful but never had the time to explore. As she engaged with these mental exercises, something inside her began to shift. Her memory, once hazy, began to sharpen. The fog she had felt around her thoughts cleared, and she started recalling names, facts, and even jokes from years ago with ease. This was her personal experience of neuroplasticity in action, the ability of her brain to adapt, grow, and rewire itself in response to new challenges. Studies show that engaging in activities that challenge the brain, such as learning new skills or solving complex problems, can stimulate neuroplasticity. These activities enhance the brain's capacity for learning, memory, and problem-solving. Martha's journey reflects the scientific truth that the brain doesn't age in the way we once thought. It doesn't deteriorate in a linear path. Instead, it remains capable of creating new pathways and strengthening existing ones. Neuroplasticity allows the brain to reorganize itself, adapting to new experiences and challenges, even in old age. Martha's own experience taught her that cognitive decline is not inevitable. Just as her body had become stronger through movement, her mind had become sharper through mental challenges. She found herself more engaged with life, more present in conversations, and better able to enjoy each moment. This revelation inspired her to share her experience with others in her community. She began organizing weekly puzzle sessions for local seniors, encouraging them to embrace the power of mental exercise. These gatherings not only stimulated the brain but also fostered a sense of connection and joy. The group would share laughter over difficult puzzles and celebrate each small victory. The sense of camaraderie was palpable, and the benefits were clear. Studies on neuroplasticity reveal that mental challenges don't just prevent cognitive decline. They actually improve brain function and increase resilience. Tasks that require focus, creativity, and problem-solving help to preserve cognitive abilities and protect against conditions like dementia and Alzheimer's. For Martha, these activities provided more than just a way to preserve her mind, they gave her a renewed sense of purpose. In Buddhism, mindfulness is not only about quieting the mind, it's about engaging with life fully, embracing both the challenges and the joys of existence. Martha's approach to mental challenges became a form of mindfulness in action. Each puzzle, each new word she learned, became a form of meditation. In the process, she not only strengthened her mind but also deepened her connection to the present moment. As she learned more about the science behind neuroplasticity, she realized how deeply interconnected her physical health, mental agility, and emotional resilience were. The more she moved, the more she engaged her mind. The more she engaged her mind, the more her emotional well-being flourished. Neuroplasticity became her ally, not just in preserving memory, but in cultivating joy, curiosity, and inner peace. One of the most profound aspects of neuroplasticity is that it's never too late to start. No matter our age, the brain retains its capacity to change, grow, and adapt. Martha's journey serves as a reminder that we all have the power to rewire our brains. The secret lies in embracing challenges, whether physical, mental, or emotional, and using them to strengthen the mind and body. Martha's discovery of mental exercises became a lifelong practice that continued to benefit her health and happiness. Each day, she would sit down with her crossword puzzle, or even try memorizing a poem she had loved as a young woman. In Buddhism, we learn that the mind is both powerful and fragile. It requires nurturing, attention, and care. Martha's commitment to her mental well-being, supported by the science of neuroplasticity, ensured that her mind would remain agile and strong. In the end, her story shows us that age is not a barrier to growth, whether it's learning something new, solving a challenging puzzle, or simply engaging fully with the present moment. Neuroplasticity offers us all the opportunity to age with clarity, to cultivate wisdom, and to continue evolving as human beings. For Martha, and for all of us, the key to a vibrant old age is to keep challenging our minds, keep learning, and, most importantly, keep growing. As Martha's journey of self-care and rediscovery continued, she found herself increasingly drawn to the power of gratitude and faith. These two forces, she discovered, had the profound ability to transform not only her mindset but also her memory. It was a simple realization, but one that changed her life. Gratitude was not just about counting blessings, it was about shifting her entire perspective on life. In her early years, Martha had been a woman of deep faith, but with the passage of time, the complexities of life and the sorrow of losing her husband had made it difficult to maintain that sense of spiritual connection. As she began spending time in nature and engaging in mental exercises, something unexpected happened. One afternoon, after a particularly peaceful walk through the park, Martha sat on a bench under a sprawling oak tree, the breeze rustling softly around her. She closed her eyes and thought about her late husband, about the love they shared, the home they built together, and the moments of joy they had experienced. A sudden wave of gratitude washed over her. She realized that while she had lost him physically, the memories they had made, the wisdom he had shared, and the love they had cultivated were still very much alive in her heart and mind. This simple shift in focus, from the emptiness of grief to the fullness of gratitude, began to transform not only her emotional state but also the clarity of her mind. Gratitude, Martha learned, has a remarkable ability to rewire the brain. Neuroscientific studies have shown that practicing gratitude can activate the brain's reward centers, promoting positive emotions and reducing stress. For Martha, practicing gratitude daily became a powerful habit that helped her focus on the positive aspects of her life, no matter how small. She began keeping a gratitude journal, where each morning she would write down 3 things she was thankful for. It could be the warmth of the sun on her skin, the smile of a neighbor, or simply the fact that she had a roof over her head. As the days passed, she noticed a subtle but profound shift. Her memory began to improve, not just in the short term, where she could recall moments with greater ease, but in the long term as well. She found that when she focused on gratitude, her mind became more alert, more clear, and less clouded by the noise of negativity. This was the transformative power of gratitude. It helped her reconnect with her memories and her sense of purpose. Faith, too, played a significant role in Martha's journey. As a young woman, she had always been guided by her belief in something greater than herself, but in recent years, her faith had been tested. She found herself questioning the meaning of life, particularly in the face of such deep loss. Yet, through her growing connection to nature and the mental exercises that kept her mind engaged, she rediscovered a sense of spiritual faith that became a cornerstone of her healing. Martha realized that faith wasn't about having all the answers or understanding the mysteries of life. It was about trust that things would work out, trust that she was supported by something larger than herself, and trust in the deep wisdom of the universe. Faith brought Martha a sense of peace and surrender. It allowed her to release the grip of anxiety and uncertainty that had been clouding her thoughts. She no longer felt as though she had to control every aspect of her life. In fact, it was through faith that she was able to let go of the desire for control and simply trust the process of living. This trust was deeply liberating. As she embraced faith, she noticed that her memories became more vivid, more filled with the richness of her life experiences. Faith, in this sense, was not about belief in a particular religion or practice but about embracing a mindset that life had a larger meaning and purpose. Gratitude and faith, when practiced together, have the ability to create a profound shift in the way we perceive the world. Martha's experience with both helped her to see beyond the confines of grief and loss and open her heart to the fullness of life that was still available to her. She no longer viewed her aging as a decline, but as a deepening of wisdom. She began to see the small moments of joy that had once slipped past her unnoticed, the laughter of children playing, the scent of flowers blooming in spring, the peaceful silence of the evening sky. In these moments, she found the grace of life itself. It is well documented that gratitude and faith can improve mental and emotional health by increasing positive thinking and reducing stress. These practices foster an optimistic outlook, making it easier to maintain a sense of well-being and resilience. For Martha, her newfound focus on gratitude and faith also supported her memory. As she practiced these habits, she began to recall fond memories more easily. The people she loved, the experiences she cherished, and the lessons she had learned over the years came flooding back to her with clarity and warmth. This sense of connection to her past, along with her present mindfulness, made her feel alive and vibrant. She found that the more grateful she became, the more deeply she felt her memories, and the more powerful her connection to them became. Gratitude and faith, as Martha had come to understand, are not just abstract concepts. They are practices that create a tangible impact on our lives. They nurture the mind, support mental clarity, and restore a sense of peace and joy. Through these practices, Martha was able to reclaim her sense of self, her memory, and her vitality. She didn't need to chase after happiness or attempt to control the future. Instead, she embraced the simple yet profound truth that life, in all its beauty and complexity, was enough. As she continued to live with gratitude and faith, her journey became a testament to the power of these practices in transforming both the mind and the heart. And in doing so, she discovered that the greatest gift of all was not simply the memories she had accumulated over the years, but the way those memories continued to shape and inspire her every day. Gratitude and faith had not only transformed Martha's mindset, they had rejuvenated her spirit, giving her the ability to live fully in each moment, with peace and purpose. As we reach the end of Martha's journey, we find that her story is not just one of personal healing, but a universal reminder that with the right practices, we all have the ability to transform our mindset, revive our memories, and embrace the aging process with grace and peace. Through gratitude, faith, movement, connection with nature, and mental challenges, Martha rediscovered the vibrant, engaged woman she once was. She learned that aging isn't a decline but an opportunity for growth, reflection, and deeper connection to what matters most. Her story is one of reclaiming not just memories, but a sense of purpose and joy. By grounding herself in nature, embracing the stillness of mindfulness, and cultivating a grateful heart, Martha began to see the world in a new light. The weight of loss that once clouded her mind gradually lifted, and in its place, a sense of peace and clarity emerged. Every small step she took, from her daily gratitude practice to her walks in the park, from reconnecting with her faith to challenging her mind, was part of a larger tapestry of self-care and spiritual growth. Martha's example shows us that no matter our age, we have the power to shape our lives in meaningful ways. She teaches us that the mind, like the body, is capable of great rejuvenation when we invest in it with intention and love. Now, Martha lives not only with a deep sense of inner peace but with an unwavering belief that life, even in its later stages, is filled with limitless potential. Her memory is clearer, her heart lighter, and her mind sharper. As she walks through the world, she does so with a renewed appreciation for both the big and small moments of life. And so, as we reflect on Martha's journey, we are called to take action in our own lives. Perhaps it's time for you to start a gratitude journal, to reconnect with nature by spending time outdoors, or to challenge your mind with new activities. Whatever your next step is, remember that it is never too late to begin. Your journey of transformation, just like Martha's, starts with a single moment of decision. Every day is an opportunity to invest in your mental, emotional, and physical well-being. By embracing the habits Martha adopted, gratitude, faith, movement, and mental challenges, you too can experience the profound benefits they bring. Just as Martha found healing through these practices, you too can begin your own journey toward greater peace, sharper memories, and a vibrant, engaged life. Take the first step today, and let your journey of transformation unfold. It's never too late to nurture your mind and body, to cherish the present, and to discover new ways to connect with the world around you. Your path to a healthier mind and a joyful life is waiting. Embrace it with the same courage and faith that Martha did. If Martha's story touched your heart, and if these Buddhist habits inspired you, please subscribe to our channel for more calm, insightful, and life-enriching content. Don't forget to like, share, and comment below. Tell us which habit you're going to try first, or share your own journey. Your voice matters, and your story might be the light someone else needs. Thank you for being here, and may peace and clarity walk with you every step of the way.